Are you passionate about chemistry? Do you want to work with young people? Well, then do I have the job for you. For an easy payment of 4 years of your life and hex debt you will never pay off, I can tell you exactly what you need to do to be a chemistry teacher.
Okay, so maybe not quite. My name is Natasha, and this is my personal philosophy on being a chemistry teacher. So that little skit was kind of how I thought the chemistry units were going to be this year. I thought I was going to get to walk into a class, sit down, and have someone tell me what I need to do exactly to be a chemistry teacher. Instead, I have been challenged and pushed into developing my own self-identity, not to fit into a mold, and to decide what I believe chemistry teaching should be. So what does it mean to be a chemistry teacher? At the most basic level, it means that you are entrusted with the chemistry education of a group of students. But to know what type of chemistry teacher you want to be and how you will go about being that person, it can be a difficult thought process, one which I have been journeying through this past year. I enrolled in the chemistry method for my final year of education simply because I couldn't do 2 biology units. That means that I've struggled with the idea of labelling myself as a future chemistry teacher. This year, I have been forced to critically reflect on that mindset. I no longer see myself as a failure in chemistry, but someone who has the ability to learn about chemistry and grow right next to my students. Spencer contends that there are 2 ways that we can view teaching as we know it today. First, you could look at the traditional approach to teaching and that it has a long and honourable history as it has remained the same for over 2,000 years. To this day, many classes will be a teacher standing in the front and students listening and taking notes. In contrast, you could say that teaching has a long and not so honourable history of resistance to change. Resistance to change. That's really what my problem was. I was resistant. I didn't want to change from being a biology pre-service teacher, but I had to change and think about who I wanted to be as a teacher of chemistry as well. Learner curiosity is the basis of my teaching philosophy. Humans are naturally inquisitive. If you have ever been around a 3-year-old for more than 5 minutes, you know this to be true. Lindholm emphasizes the what is it and why is it questioning by preschool students. At this age, these questions are based on wonder and curiosity. During adolescence, this questioning changes, focusing on what is true. Lindholm also states it is this deep curiosity and intellectual wondering which is vitally important at this age. However, in the classroom, the questions which are prompted from this thinking are dismissed as they are not part of a preset curriculum. The VCE curriculum mirrors this, with a vast amount of content being covered in a small amount of time. During my placement, I was encouraging questions, especially in topics I didn't know. When I couldn't answer, these parked questions became my personal homework, which I was able to discuss with my students the next session. Nearly all of these questions deviated so far from the current topic that I would enlist help from people studying the specific areas at university. Science is about formulating a question and trying to answer it. Focusing on the learner and encouraging inquisitive questioning is how I would like to teach chemistry. By encouraging and supporting the questions of my students, not only am I able to foster curiosity, but I am also able to develop my own chemistry-specific content knowledge. Looking to Shulman's domains of knowledge, it is general pedagogical knowledge and content knowledge which are opposing when it comes to my own ability to be a chemistry teacher. Throughout the past 5 years of my degree, I have had many opportunities within university and outside to develop my general pedagogical knowledge. Focusing on pedagogy and understanding different styles of teaching and learning has been a large focus throughout the degree. The STEM intensive earlier in the semester offered the opportunity for development of science content. The resulting activity for my table for the Little Food Festival focused on learner curiosity, engaging the senses, and science. Developing the activity was based on pedagogical understanding, knowing how to intrinsically motivate learners and to teach new concepts in a concise and intriguing way. Content knowledge is an area where I still believe I need to develop as a chemistry teacher. Whilst volunteering at the Little Food Festival earlier in the semester, I helped to make and explain edible drink bottles made from sodium alginate and calcium chloride. When I first arrived, I had to spend a fair amount of time asking questions and trying to understand the process myself, as it wasn't something that I was familiar with. Once people were coming and trying the edible drink bottles and asking questions, I found that I still had a lot more to learn and kept needing to ask for help when it came to finding the answers. However, the more that I learnt, the more intrigued I was. Could we use cordial instead of water for the drink bottles? Could we use a nice tea? Trialing out these new combinations intrigued my curiosity, and I managed to learn so much more about the process and of the chemical reactions that were occurring and how different liquids affected these reactions. This experience reinforced the idea that while my content knowledge may not be strong, I do have the capacity to continue learning just as much as my students would in a classroom. My own scientific curiosity propels me to consistently and continuously learn about areas of chemistry that I don't know. And this is where I believe that I will be able to improve my content knowledge moving forward. I had two main goals for this semester. The first was to have a positive mindset for this unit, because I knew that the previous semester I had been quite negative. And my second was to push myself into situations where I would be required to teach chemistry, such as at the Little Food Festival. Going into the unit with a positive mindset proved to be easier than anticipated. The main challenges I encountered when struggling to stay positive was self-doubt. When asked to mark VCE chemistry posters, I doubted my ability to do so when I myself didn't actually understand the content that was being presented. Thankfully, we live in a day and age where Google is one phone screen away. Simply by reviewing key terms, it was enough for me to remember much of this chemistry knowledge, which I had thought was completely lost to me. This was a confidence booster, especially when I realized that I don't need to be an expert in the knowledge. That I needed to do was to understand the students and how they were understanding the knowledge. Pushing myself into situations to teach chemistry proved a lot harder. The Little Food Festival was an excellent example, and on placement I was able to help with a few chemistry demonstrations. The main challenges I've encountered with my goals and teaching chemistry, again, is self-doubt. It is this self-doubt which has been the biggest challenge I will have to moving forward. I don't think I will ever be confident in my ability to effortlessly know the content and teach chemistry, but I am confident in my ability to be a lifelong learner. Teaching chemistry is complex. Information is ever being discovered, and the curriculum is always changing. This means that I consistently need to develop my understandings, and I will need to find a great mentor to help me in understanding how to teach chemistry and understanding the content itself. But this does also mean that I will forever have the chance to be filled with as much wonder as I was when I realized that I could make an edible iced tea drink bottle.